Is my ghosted ex-wife possibly tracking me down? My initial post was taken down multiple times, but I was assured it was republished someplace. But, just to be clear, I blogged a few months ago about ghosting my ex-wife after discovering she was cheating on me with a colleague, which I observed firsthand by following her. I mentally threw down the towel after addressing her multiple times and getting nowhere. My plan was to abandon her and ghost the living daylights out of her. To be clear, we still had separate accounts and no joint assets, so I was able to execute this neatly, plus our lease had already ended. While she was out of town on business, I packed my belongings and moved out of the apartment we shared. I relocated from the city to a plot of property in a trailer I purchased from a friend. When she returned after her vacation, all that remained was a message and my wedding ring. Since then, my living condition has been excellent, and I have been able to live very simply. As a remote worker in a technological profession, I can work from anywhere and go anywhere as long as I have adequate internet connectivity, which I happily have. My objective was to straighten myself out and had just called a lawyer, but she outdid me and we had an uncontested divorce. Here's the issue. I ran into a common acquaintance a while ago, and she indicated that my ex-wife was caught cheating on me at work, and things did not go well for her or the person she was cheating on me with. I stopped her from saying anything further because that lady had already done enough to me and I didn't need to hear it again. She also said that my ex is still trying to contact me in order to reconcile, beg my forgiveness, and so on. I didn't think she was telling the truth, but she was insistent about it. I told her not to mention seeing me, and she agreed. I have no desire to speak to her again, much alone see her. But 3 days ago, I spotted my ex sitting alone in a coffee shop in the little town near where I reside. It's a recreational and tourist region, but it's many hours away from where she lives, so it can't be a coincidence, can it? I nearly went in for a coffee myself, but she was gazing at her phone and didn't seem to see me. But I'm afraid she wouldn't recognize me now that I've grown a thick beard and wear my hair shoulder length. Like previously, my response was to flee, as if I had just seen Satan himself, and I hurried out of there as swiftly and stealthily as I could. Anyway, I used to believe I was almost untraceable, but now I'm not so sure. Is my conduct typical? I'm also considering speaking with a counselor or someone about this flight mode I've been in when it comes to interacting with my ex. I was genuinely happy and having a terrific solitary life until this occurred. My buddy was wondering whether she had hired a private investigator to find me. Should I simply ignore it and hope for the best? Update: I returned to town this past weekend to pick up a few groceries and have a coffee at my normal spot, as well as use their free Wi-Fi to work on some paperwork for business. I exited the coffee shop after completing my work. I hear someone shout "Paul?" as I move towards my pickup. When I glance across the street, there's Kathy, my ex, waving at me. The Armageddon has finally arrived. I stood there in disbelief. She rushes across the street and approaches me, reaching out for a hug, and I immediately extend my arms out with palms out, and she pauses. She gives me a pained expression. "Paul, I've been seeking for you," she continues. "I heard you moved out here and wanted to meet with you. May we talk?" Guys, I truly do feel like a suffocated animal. So I gave in and said, "All right, let's find a table or anything and speak for a minute." She asks if we may come to my house, and I just say no. She follows me down the block to a seat outside a little business at the end of the street. She begins by commenting on how much I've changed and how much she likes my new appearance, my beard, etc., blah. She saw how my body had altered and how fit I seemed. She puts up a terrific show, and she looked gorgeous, guys. She was dressed in white shorts and a tank top, with her hair in a ponytail, which I used to enjoy. My radar was on full alert, and I could see she was going all out for the appeal. I had to keep myself in check here and see where this was headed. She begins by apologizing for the entire affair situation. She claims that karma slammed her hard after I left. Her employer found out about her affair and effectively forced her to resign. Her AP, who was engaged at the time, received a reprimand and was transferred to another job within the firm. He blamed her for his need to relocate, and she responded by telling his fiancé everything, causing them to split up. She bowed her head and began to weep. I simply sat there staring around, not knowing what to say. She straightened her back. And he looked at me for a while. I inquired as to what she expected from me. She wanted to tell me that she never planned to start an affair, that she was dragged in by the firm's politics and positioning, and that she believed the AP exploited her with his charm and authority inside the company, and that she mistakenly thought she was using him as much as he was using her. She was going to tell me the truth, particularly after I had accused her of having an affair. She despised herself at the time, and her after-work drinking was an effort to alleviate her guilt. That shortly after I left her, She felt dumb, alone, like if her heart had suddenly shattered with grief. She abruptly ended her relationship with her AP. She thought that since I refused to contact her or speak to her, she needed to locate me and see if she could make things right for us and start again. She is aware that we are divorced, but maybe we might start again. I just stood there staring at her. I gave it to her. I'm paraphrasing the exchange, but here it is. How dare you come out here and assume you can simply wipe away all the trash you've made? I'm going to forgive you for all you did to wreck our marriage. I told you previously that if you cheated on me, it was the end of our relationship. There is no forgiveness and this relationship will not be restarted. You nailed it. You ruined everything the moment you walked out on me. What do you suppose I'm thinking? Do you know I followed you one night and witnessed you walk inside a hotel together? I suddenly realized I had been increasing my voice, and others were noticing. She began to cry. She grabbed my arm. I let her weep a bit on my shoulder before moving her away. She raised her head to look at me. I know I deserve all of this. Could you please allow me to take you out to dinner or something? I don't want to go, I want to continue talking. I want to make certain that everything is out in the open. I need time with you that you have not before provided. Please, Paul, I know you don't want to hear this, but I adore you. I didn't realize how much I loved you until you shattered me. And I shattered you just as badly. I can't and don't want to forgive myself till the day I die. She began hyperventilating and weeping so hard that I had to pick her up and embrace her. I understand. That was the only thing I could think of to possibly calm her down. At that moment, I understood I had broken her heart, just as she had broken mine. I began walking with her, then found a beautiful peaceful route to go on, and things calmed down a little. I then asked her how she located me and whether she used a private investigator or whatever. She chuckled a bit and said no, but she was thinking about it. She bumped into Stacy a couple of weeks ago and inquired how she was doing. Stacy let out that she had seen me. Kathy forced her to reveal every single detail. Stacy refused to tell her since I had warned her not to. But she wasn't going to let her go until she did. But all she truly knew was that she'd seen me about town and that I lived someplace nearby. So she began to come here on her days off to try if she could locate me. She flushed a lot when she said it. I giggled a little, that dang Stacy can't keep her trap shut. So we went out to supper. We discovered a wonderful small spot with a terrace. I made sure we didn't drink anything since I didn't want her to soften up on me or say she was too intoxicated to drive back. We genuinely had a wonderful conversation. I then led her to her vehicle. She wanted to remain and pushed me hard, refusing to give in. She hadn't been with anyone else since I left, and she claimed I was the only one she wanted. I told her no, that it was still much too early for me to start down that path. She pleaded to see me again, but I refused. I gave her my new email address, but that was the end of the conversation. She asked for my phone number, but I told her no since she'd fill it up with messages and calls. That one made her cry. She indicated she'd be back in town the following weekend if I was interested. I didn't say anything in response. She said that she would send me an email with all of the specifics of when and where. Before she departed, I asked her directly whether she would forgive me if I had cheated. She sat there thinking and said, yeah, she would in time, but only if we visited a marital counselor or if we could go through the healing process with lots of discussion and maybe a binding agreement. Okay, I thought, maybe in 5 to 10 years I'll be able to achieve that. She stated she'd wait if that's what it took. She then grabbed my hands in hers, looked me in the eyes, and exclaimed, God, Paul, I will always love you and would do everything to show it. She then walked away. I'm still shaken by what she said, she stated it with such sincerity. I still don't picture myself with her again. But I'm feeling better. I can't even envision her as an FWB right now. Maybe a buddy, but I'm not sure if we'd ever work out again. Don't call me a chump, since second chances are uncommon in my book. I went home, went for a long run, and had a couple beers, and felt like I was in a good spot now. Can someone assure me that she won't destroy it? I'm not sure. It's still fresh in my memory, but I have the luxury of time to comb through everything and get some perspective.